Welcome to the Awaken Beauty podcast. I am Cassandra, your organic beauty, positive mind management, and biofeedback practitioner. And I have yet another woo-woo episode for you today because woo-woo is the new real deal. And with the current concerns over health and immunity, the discussion today will be especially relevant. Now, in this episode, you'll learn the stated intention behind 90-10 quantum technology and how it is here to help as many people as possible connect with their innate healing potential during this unique historical moment in time. Now, if you are listening in the future, this is a time where we're recording where everything really feels surreal within the coronavirus. And so now another time right now is we're all quarantined to have these developing discussions that we're going to today. And I'm on a mission to educate the world about the power of the mind, body, and spirit through the power of bioenergy through quantum science. And while quantum science is broad and is not very well understood, now more than ever, people are waking up and we're seeing that it is fundamental to sustain our health in such a toxic world. Now, as I integrate biofeedback and energetics in my health and beauty business and products by seeing firsthand the evidence and that it is going to be the future of wellness and managing the aging process. If we look at the body beyond just the traditional biochemistry point of view, it gives us so many insights into how we can improve our health. Now, continuing my goal to share the newest breakthrough technology and to help you optimize your health and your vitality, I've got an awesome episode with my guest, Philip, from the company, as I noted, called 90-10. So I'm going to give you a brief bio on who Philip is and the power behind his experience. So originally from Germany, Philip is a conscious entrepreneur, alternative health ambassador, and an energy healer. In parallel to a successful international business career as CMO and vice president at Fortune 500 companies in Europe and the US, Philip has worked through the blockages and barriers that prevented him to truly connect with his true self. His main business focuses on Lila Labs, manufacturer of C60 and C60 oils, and is the state of the art of C60 nature cosmetics products. Now, Philip is in the US and he is a distributor for the amazing Swiss quantum technology company called 90-10. And today's episode will explore the endless possibilities the newest next level technology offers for medical applications, personal protection from environmental contaminants, and athletic performance and enhancement. Welcome, Mr. Philip, to the Awaken Beauty podcast show. And thank you so much for joining me today in this very surreal experience. I just said to you before we got on live, it's just like all of our days are starting to blend into each other. And we were having spring yesterday, and now today we're in a winter storm warning. So, you know, the whole energetics of the world are being flipped upside down. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, I kind of got wind of 90-10 through, as a biofeedback practitioner. I follow Sherry Edwards and Sarah Westall. And so you just kept popping up on all of these people that I, join energy with in kind of the Instagram world and podcast world. And so I reached out to you and have dive deep in with the community and the community forum and Telegram. And so what you're doing is very, very significant. And, you know, no more other time than today to really discuss what you guys have to offer. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about, you know, your background first and foremost and kind of why you fell so in love with quantum energy.
Well, I mean, you know, as you pointed out, I used to be in a quite successful business career, and that's mainly pretty brain focused. But since probably 2 decades, I started developing, the path to my true self in a pretty conscious way, and did that in parallel. And then at some point I realized, there's just so much more, so way more than, okay, you get up in the morning, you do your thing and work hard and deliver numbers for a huge company and stuff like that. And that's really just a sideshow. That's just some game that we play here. And Well, as I was developing, at some point I bumped into C60, and that was kind of by accident, if you will. Um, when I heard of it, I had goosebumps. I knew my system was completely alert, and I knew, I had something to do with that, and I needed to dive into it and all that. And then here we go. That's what I did for the last several years. And we're pretty active in Europe and Asia, just a tiny little bit in the US as well. And then at some point I was introduced, that was actually through a friend in Germany, to the 90-10 quantum technology and frequency medicine. And I was basically asked, hey, can you take a look at this? Have you ever heard of that? And then I had the same situation I had with C60, where I knew instantly, well, I have something to do with this. And I think what it is for me is actually, it's working with things, tools that can bridge our path here from not being able to fully leverage our consciousness and our ability until we can do it ourselves. Because I know for a fact that we can heal ourselves and we can do so much with our consciousness. It's just that most of us have completely forgotten that, and we need to relearn that. And on that path to relearn that, certain tools can help us get there and just bridge the gap. So I'm also convinced that in 10 years at the very, very latest, we probably don't need C60 anymore. Mm-hmm. It's going to, maybe we need it for something else, but probably not for healing our bodies, because most of us will then have a conscious state where we can do these things on our own. And maybe it's 20 years. I mean, no one really knows that. And the quantum technology by 90-10 is very, very fascinating, because it can help us on a frequency and quantum energy level to do things that really just a few people on Earth currently can do with their conscious mind. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, why I got so excited about it, because I wanted to let people know about it and give people access to it, because that helps with the massive awakening of the people, the true awakening, right? I mean, people always talk about awakening and about, you need to know, like, who's the player behind the scenes here in the outer world and who's behind politics and all that. But that's all still the stage, right? Mm-hmm. The truth is really behind all of that, and it's all about energy. And I think that awakening is the most important.
Yeah, I really love that. And, we become adults and we realize, kind of like you had this aha moment when you learned about C60 or when you learned about 90-10, much like when I learned about biofeedback, when I learned about the power of the mind through hypnotherapy. It's like, that's the truth. And you're so compelled towards it because the truth sets you free, right? So if you have an open enough spirit, you're just compelled to go towards that. And we become adults, and we all of a sudden have this aha where we learn that we have to, like, desystemize all of these programs that we've been programmed with. And then we're still walking around in a very programmed world. I mean, there's other countries that have their cities built in circles because they want people to think expansively. Where in the US, you go left or right. It's boxed in, and all of your thought processes are boxed in. And so it's very hard to beat through these constructs. So what 90-10, C60, other quantum energy tools allow us to do is not use them as a crutch, to not use them as an escape or an excuse that we don't have to do something else, a part of how we think or our lifestyle, but to really grasp onto the incredible power of these developers and how we can use that to help us get there faster, more efficiently, more succinctly, and then be a part of this bigger collection of people that are wanting to do the same thing, which the power of 8, if everybody can be on that same thought process and be elevating at that level, I think you agree, especially with this whole Corona thing, people are having to sit inside and really break through, excuse my language, the mind fuck. Because what you perceive is your reality, but the thing is, your reality is not truly reality. So 90-10 does, so many profound things. So when you first learned about 90-10, how did you meet Oliver, who is the owner and the developer, correct? And I think he started the company back in like 98 or 97, or when did he start this whole venture?
No, he started about 9 years ago, I think.
Okay.
I mean, earlier in terms of developing and all of that, but really 9 or 10 years ago is when he got really into this, and neck deep, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And well, when I knew I had something to do with this, and I reached out to him, as easy as that. And we had our first phone call was for a super long time. I guess both of us didn't expect that to be the case, and we had an instant deep connection and got along super well, and we're swimming on the same wave. That's kind of like a German saying. And just from that moment on, I think both of us knew that, we'll just that I'll help him here with North America in terms of 90/10, and he certainly has a whole lot more on his plate. And
I like how you've become the interpreter for everybody that's involved in this whole organization. It's like, well, Philip's over on the side interpreting for Oliver and everybody else, because it's pretty amazing. So with 90/10 then, so maybe you can talk about, I really love the passion behind 90/10 and their vision for how they're a very outward focused company. And maybe you can explain a little bit more about the 90 and 10, where the name came from.
yes, and that's again really Oliver, who, as a person, Oliver, what he's thinking about is, he wants to help humanity evolve, and get really, he's supporting the good, and whatever he can do, that's what he does, right? And he hasn't done any of this, or isn't doing any of this, or will never do anything like this here for money. That's for him irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It matters for him that this technology gets out, and other great things, right, that he would promote and support. And so 90 stands for 90% of the profit to projects and charities that the 90/10 community wants the money to go to. And so charity is already a pretty heavy word as I'm speaking it, because we've learned that there's so many charities out there that do crap, really, and that's really not what it is about. So it also isn't about Oliver picking anything. It's really about the 90/10 community picking something, whether it may be, maybe there's a hospital at some point that wants to have cubes in their hospital, because certainly it's always free will, and you can't just put cubes in a hospital. But if a hospital wanted that, that could be one of those projects where the 90/10 says, hey, yeah, that's where we'll direct our funds to, and we'll support this and make this happen. That's just one of many, many different examples. Right. And 10% would go to the company 90/10 to keep developing. Obviously, you need a little bit so you can reinvest in all of that. And and I want to remind everybody, 90/10 is a very small company. Everybody's working day and night to make all these things happen. Currently, it's completely self-funded for very good reasons, because they want to maintain the integrity and everything, and the focus. And I just want to remind people, sometimes we get the impression that people just expect we operate like Nike or something, but it's 90/10 is just very small in the beginning, and it's in that form still a startup, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And being a part of the community now, everybody is so involved and so positive and so willing to give feedback and share insights and resources. We're not all dialed in on just 90/10. We're here to, how can we integrate different rife frequencies, and what is it compared to this or to that? I shared in the group this morning, I have an imprint plate. It's an energetic plate. So, we were talking about, well, what's the difference between burning or imprinting a plate with this kind of energy, and what's the difference between the cube? And so I think kind of to join, kind of jump in about what the 90/10 development is, the different components that are involved, and how people can utilize them, especially now. First let's start off with what is your definition of quantum energy?
So before I get to that, I really want to also appreciate the 90-10 community,
Yep.
and really 90-10 is about the community, and we're
100%.
very humbled that there is such a growing community, because it's all about the community, because 90-10 cannot make all these things happen, and there's so much to explore, and 90-10 technology is a key technology, and people need to understand that. So if people think it's a product or compare this product to another product completely off track, has nothing to do with that. 90-10 has products, yes, but the technology behind it is a key technology. And once that rings a bell in people, you can apply it to any industry in the world, pretty much. Certainly not to a consulting service in that sense, but you can actually do that in a different way. But for anything that's a product, you could apply this. And once that ripples through, you will understand also how much greenfield there is to explore, to test, to find things out, and to share. And that's where the community really comes in. We've learned so much. So what is the 90-10 tech? You want to define quantum technology, quantum energy first?
Yeah, I think, some people don't know what quantum energy, or is they have, they just know about, Joe Dispenza and talk about quantum. So let's just kind of get your perspective on what is quantum energy to you.
Yeah. So I will never repeat just some theoretical construct here or definition. You can read that on Google or Wikipedia or something, and then probably it'll just make poof, and you have not understood a thing. So for me, it's a very practical thing. It's the field that you tap in if you're very connected with your true self. If you go into deep meditation, the deeper you go, at some point you can access consciously more and more of that field, and you can make things happen. You can start to basically move things from a thought into reality. That's a way to explain it. And you really tap into that field. That is the quantum energy field. And 90-10, Oliver Schacker, the founder, what he invented was the so-called cube, where he can concentrate the quantum energy field within this cube. So for people that haven't seen a cube yet, so this is how a cube looks like.
Yeah, so
not
cool.
Very big. And this is the original cube, the standard cube. It's not the most powerful of the whole set of cubes that 90-10 offers, but it's the one that 90-10, even today and also in the future, will always use to copy frequencies, for example, because that's one of those things that you can do. So in this field, it's like a torus generator.
Yep.
And you can, if you put, for example, your cell phone into that cube, you can permanently burn and charge it with quantum energy, and it will change its structure. Now people will be like, yeah, I mean, really? Well, you can test it. And 90-10 also from the beginning said, there are multi-billion-dollar pharma companies and others that come up with multi-billion-dollar studies that take 10 years, and then they come up with a product, and everybody needs to believe what was done in all these studies. And then you have basically a whole laundry list of side effects. And it doesn't even treat any of the root causes. So that's very interesting. So he said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do studies like this. I'm going to do tests that I'm going to film, and we're going to come up with those that you can replicate over and over again, and that everybody can do at home. And with that, some things cannot really be done at home, because for a dark field microscopy session, you would need someone that has a dark field microscope. But you can find those people, right? I mean, that's really no issue to find those people in any city in the world. Probably any larger city at some point, you find those people. And the radioactivity tests, to test if cesium is still in the water after you treat it. All these things you can do. That's what they focus on, so that the people can verify it themselves. And then they can, once they verified it, then they can talk about the product as well.
That's awesome.
So that is the core, what he invented, so that this quantum energy field, if you put something in it, you can charge any object with quantum energy, and that that's on a lasting basis. And then also you can copy any frequency you want that you put in the cube into any other object that you want to.
Yeah, I think, if somebody's really curious, and if you don't really understand the toroids, and the visual of it, maybe go to YouTube or, go and try to capture a picture of this infinite. It's like this reciprocal energy that is just so powerful in the middle, and it extracts energy out. So, kind of what Philip is saying is that can you correct me if I'm wrong? It can neutralize at the same time, expand and copy the energy that is put into the cube.
Yeah, so I mean, if I can just quote the founder here, what has been found over many, many years actually of research and testing is that if you were to burn the frequency of a pharmaceutical drug in the cube, actually what's left is then the frequencies that will still do what this drug was supposed to do without any of its side effects.
Right, exactly. Yep.
And there are nuances to that. And, from my perspective, there some things you also need to take physically where the frequency is great, but in some cases you also need some physical things. But that's just nuances. But in general, that has been found.
Yeah. And I think if you go back even to Tesla, or if you go to, I don't know if you know who Tom Palladino is, but he does a lot of scalar energy, and so if we know that we can pull apart pathogens, or if we're pulling apart all these pathogens, and the body is then the value of it is that the body doesn't then experience the die-off. Let's say you're detoxing, the body doesn't experience the die-off, but you're getting the benefit of the pathogens being broken up and pulled apart. So it's just very dynamic relationship of, what you're doing. Just like Sherry Edwards, she can create a frequency of a cancer medication and give it to a client, but they don't have the side effects of becoming very ill from the actual medications, because there is a frequency to that medication that the body doesn't know what to do with, and it harms the body. Whereas these gentle frequencies, are going to be invited into the biofield, but it doesn't have that offset of that negative, residue. Which is probably why, it can neutralize 5G and, the electromagnetic smog and a lot of these other frequencies that we are being bombarded with every day. And I believe that's the power of this kind of this research that he's done. So the cube then is really kind of like the copy machine, right? And, we'll kind of stay on the cube for a couple minutes. So, let's take, for example, we're talking about grounding. We talk about grounding a lot with being able to get our electrical charge from the earth, which we so are missing right now, especially when we're tapped up in a damn house all day. But, what we're able to do is, and what you guys have done is put the shoe in to the cube and neutralize and basically power up the shoe. And then from what I understand, he then just started putting his soles into the cube, and then he just uses his soul and then puts those into his different shoes. Is that correct? Can you share that story?
Yeah, to some extent that's correct. So I'll clarify that. So indeed, yeah. So he started experimenting with shoes, and actually I've done that a lot too. And many other people now that own cubes around the globe, they're putting their shoes in, and indeed, you just leave it in there for 3 hours or just overnight, and then next morning you have a shoe that's fully charged with that. And certainly we know that we have all these nerve endings in our feet. There's special massages that you can do actually in pressure points. Yep. So if you have that energy down there, it's actually very, very beneficial for the body. And it almost feels like you're walking on clouds a little bit. And It really gives you energy into your feet, into your legs, and it just feels really good. Now, shoes are really the only object where the quantum energy leaves pretty rapidly. So already after about 24 hours, the quantum energy is gone out of the shoes, and that has several reasons: material, earth energy, and movement energy. So those are the three main reasons why that is. Other than that, if I burn something in a bottle here, that would last for decades or even hundreds of years, really depending on the material. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so the cube, so then like let's take the shoes out of the picture. Okay, this is how cool it is to me. So you put your jewelry in there. You can put your dishes in there so that you're infusing your food while you're eating it with awesome energy. You can put your cell phone in there. You can put personal care products, shampoo, conditioner. I mean, you can burn whatever you want for the higher good in that cube, which is so cool. So how long then does it remain charged after you put it in? And is it always 3 hours that it needs to stay charged in the cube?
It depends on what the object is.
And
If
what
if
it
it's a
is.
metal or like something like aluminum, it would be 3 hours, yeah, or like a phone would be 3 hours as well. If you want to charge food, depending on what food, it's 10 to 30 minutes, and cosmetics probably also not more than 10 to 30 minutes.
Right.
And yeah, so it does. And if you have a plate, for example, that you eat on, or you take the water bowl of your dog and put it in, which is an amazing thing to do, because it then will radiate that positive energy all the time. Just that would be 3 hours as well, and then it's permanently charged. So that the quantum energy won't leave anymore. The structure of the material will have changed after that, and people that can see energy will see that instantly. Even most people that can't really see it, but they have some level of understanding that this plate looks different now and more vibrating, almost more alive, if you will, than the other one. So you can literally see it with your own eyes, and it really optimizes the structure of anything you put in there.
Yeah, and so like so what? So what? So then what does that do? So I think his name is Elmer, K. Elmer,
Yep.
Tinkertown Boy.
Yeah.
So he does this fabulous experience, and he shows the plants. Okay, so he's showing a plant compared to it being charged and non-charged, and it is absolutely, the before and after is like unbelievable how dead the other plant looks. It's just like emoto with the water, right? So you can take that same concept of writing negative frequencies onto the water and positive, and how you get this crystalline output from the snowflake. There's another example of the food and how much it was more preserved, and the livelihood of the lettuce and the leaves of the greens that he had. Now, skincare, so what? Well, when I imprint my skincare, if you put it in the cube, same thing. Well, it has better frequency. It neutralizes anything that's in there that may be caught on as a frequency, maybe being scanned from a UPS scanner or something like that devalued the product. You charge it back up, and it gives better bioavailability when you put it on your skin. So you're getting like 10x the effect of just a bunch of water-filled kind of filler, skincare products. So there's such value to being able to have one of these units and charge everything from your food to your skincare to all of that, because it's been tampered with at some level. And, when we have 80% of our soil now is degraded, let's jump into what are these frequencies. So we have 3 different frequencies, and let's move from the cube into the capsule, and how you've integrated these 3 different frequencies, one being the 10 most healing waters from the world. Then we've got the Tesla frequency, and then also I believe it is the 84 vitamins and minerals essential to the body, which I'm assuming is why everything is charged up and feeling great, as well as why the person feels so good, because we're so deficient in all of these things living on this toxic planet at this time, correct?
Yes. So one thing before we move there is, because many of your listeners may not have heard about this, but so the 9010 products can also be used to eliminate cesium-137 out of water, and as we found, also other radioactivity particles. If you have water, actually on this earth, you can't really get water anymore that is not even by a Coca-Cola without radioactivity in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use the 9010 technology already after 30 minutes, you can reduce that to 0, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
Profound.
Can be tested by anybody. So I wanted to mention that In terms of, and the cube is neutral because it doesn't have any frequency. It really is the neutral quantum energy. And then you're right, there are all these different products that 9010 has developed. And they have a whole set of different frequencies, and some are actually unpublished, if you will. They're sitting on the shelf, and maybe at some point when the world moves on, some of those will get pulled out of the shelf and made available. But for now, the main frequencies, you mentioned those, the healing waters, the 84 vitamins and minerals, and then also the Tesla frequency. Those are the three frequencies that work in concert. So as an orchestration, if you will, they're part of this water bottle here. So this is a water bottle, which is charged with quantum energy, and it also contains these three frequencies. Now, if you put water in there, the water takes on these frequencies, and the structure of the water changes. The quantum energy kind of boosts that out and does also its thing. And then you can basically drink water as if it was, I mean, everybody should try it for themselves, but for me, it's the best water you can drink.
Yeah, I think the whole issue is radioactive, and kind of what you're talking about. Whatever form of water you're getting, we spend so much money on all of these water systems inside of our homes trying to pull stuff out, and then it's void of everything. And so the fact that you can utilize some of these technologies to be able to reduce down to 0.0 with radioactive components in our water is like profound. The half-life and all of these things, it's just a chemical slew of what we're drinking. So that's so incredible. And one fee of buying the water bottle and just drinking from that all day is much more better and more probably more advanced than even these large water systems, because we're still missing the link on those. Then you get the added benefit of the charge of these different three things, so that your body is constantly brought back into homeostasis.
That is absolutely correct. So what I do, actually, we combine, we have a reverse osmosis system at home. Yep. And then we actually, I do use the water bottle, which is super convenient, especially if I go somewhere, but we have 4 power capsules that are placed all around this water tank that we have. Yep. It's like, I think it's like a 4-gallon water tank. And these 4 capsules, if you put those around, they create a large torus field and then basically energize this whole tank. And then you just drink that water, and it's just absolutely perfect. Which kind of brings us to
capsules.
One of the products here.
Yes. I'm going to make a really beautiful chain so I can make some pretty necklaces with the capsules. No longer do you need your EMF weird necklaces. You can just wear a capsule.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's this here. It's a power capsule. You can see it's not very big, and the power capsule is charged with these 3 frequencies that we've mentioned. And then if I unscrew this here, it kind of looks like this.
Careful, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't spill it.
I won't.
The spheres.
And then you have these little titanium spheres in here. There are 5 of those. Those are charged with quantum energy. And what these spheres do with their quantum energy is actually very concentrated, pretty strong quantum energy in these titanium spheres. And they boost out the frequencies that are in this capsule over a longer distance. So what it does, it really, if you hold it here, it transmits through my body, and my energetic system really hits that and signals these frequencies so that I can benefit from it. And the latest addition is now that we, with the very famous Swiss healer Roman, we're talking about the coronavirus and what can be done that would really, what frequency can help anybody in a preventative state, but also when they get sick. And that doesn't even apply just to this virus, but basically anything. And he downloaded the primal human healing frequency. So now we have a pre-sale going on with capsules that look like this. They have a different engraving, so you can distinguish them from the others. And they contain this primal human healing frequency, as well as the 84 and the healing water frequencies. So it's a new product that's still currently being produced, and I think it'll be ready to ship at some point in the beginning of April. And that's super exciting. We're working day and night to make this happen.
Yeah. So about the heal, let's kind of, go there, because it's really creating a lot of communication within the group and the community. And so this, just like your aha when you came to C60, your aha when you found 9010, you were on your retreat, and your friend, can you remind me his name?
Roman Hafner.
Roman Hafner. Roman and you had a discussion, and you thought, man, here is this, damn coronavirus coming in, and you guys had this aha of, well, he can visibly see energy, like Sherry Edwards can hear maladaptive frequencies. And so you guys kind of came to this heal and adding to your product suite. So can you say a little bit more on how do you, like I had mentioned 528 hertz, but it's not a sound frequency. It's not a universal frequency. How did you formulate what this is?
There's nothing to formulate. So it's really that's
my question.
There's really nothing to formulate because it exists. It's just there. That's the core, that's the primal healing frequency that is there when the body is designed.
Okay.
Right in that moment where the body starts to exist, that's where we have this frequency that kind of takes care of things. And then at some point over time, we lose the access to it more and more. So it's kind of like through manipulation, through external factors and all of that, we get more into a consciousness of that we're sick and that we're going to die young, we're going to be old, we'll look old, and all of it, we'll get diseases and all of that. So it's more like a consciousness of getting sick rather than being healed. And we completely forget that we have all the frequencies we need to heal ourselves. So what this frequency does is actually it reminds us again that we have this inner healer. It activates the so-called inner healer. And with that, also the ability to boost the immune system, to boost the healing powers, and the constant remembering of us being able to kind of heal ourselves.
Yep.
Then actually activates everything like a rusted machine that now starts working again. That's kind of how it works. And then we took it a step further where we said, okay, now we have certainly a lot of other great frequencies that 9010 has been using. And should it be a standalone frequency, or does it even work even better in concert with others? And then we tested that. And what we found is that in concert with the healing water frequencies, as well as the frequencies of the 84 vitamins and minerals that are so essential, it worked even better than standalone, because the picture is really like the inner healer gets activated and it immediately takes the frequencies of these minerals, waters, and vitamins and puts them exactly where it's needed in that moment. So it's already like seeing the buffet of all these frequencies, taking those and just using them quickly. So that's pretty fascinating. And
so fascinating.
Yeah. And then by the way, and I want to mention that because some people had asked, that new frequency set doesn't replace the original power capsule frequency set at all. That will always continue to work. It works super, super well. And it's just a different use case. It's like, having a tennis racket and a golf racket.
Golf racket. Yeah, you Germans.
You don't play golf with a tennis racket, and that doesn't mean you have to throw one of the other rackets away. You still use it. And in times where you want to heal, or in times where you feel you need to do a lot of preventative things for your body to stay healthy and all of that, certainly this frequency right now is the frequency for this time. It absolutely is. But there will be times again, and also in between, where the other frequency set is the one that you want to use. And for that also, you use your gut, and because everybody's a little bit different. So I just really want to say this is not like
it's not an either or.
one for the other. It's a different thing.
Yeah, so I'll kind of I'll kind of create some more verbiage around what you're explaining with heal. And when life comes into existence, we call that chi or prana. And there is a moment in time where there's a point of origin that life begins. And it is in its purest state, life itself. So to me, that's what I would equate the frequency of heal to. No more, no less. It is the frequency of life itself in its purest form, which raises, so many different, it can do so much, but it really raises the consciousness level, I think, in a human being, for one. And the power capsules, especially if someone's, just kind of getting into this and really needs, to carry it with them at work, or needs to focus, or needs the extra support or the energy. I mean, use them both. One day you may feel that you need to kind of enter into this origin of your essence, and that you want to be walking with the heal. And sometimes you just feel like you need just like, a little bit more of, like you said, all these different components coming in. But they're different, but both valuable for what they are. So I can't wait for the heal, and I can't wait to get to heal, because I have somebody that's sending me a heal, because I'm going to purchase all these things, except for the cube. I haven't gotten the cube yet. But so that's super powerful. Now let's move into, so thank you about the power capsules. We've examined the cube, which is kind of like the mother. And then we looked at the capsules, which is a very, very consumer friendly piece that anybody can take. I mean, just think about your kids. They're constantly surrounded by stuff and bad food and EMF, and they're carrying their phones. Those tiny little bodies and those tiny little cellular structures, this is really helpful for them, especially if they're sitting at their home, beating up on their parents. Give them the capsule. Next would be the power cards. So let's talk about the positive and minus side, and the point of how we can imprint these power cards and how those can be used.
Yeah, so we call them frequency cards. I mean, they look like this here,
Visa. Don't expose it for, it's not a Visa. It's the frequency card. So
yeah, so it's just aluminum cards that are pretty hard. You cannot bend them. And the plus minus doesn't really matter too much, actually. So I'm not going to go into this. I think this may overwhelm people. It's not needed, actually, to talk about it. But there is a pure quantum energy card that has a very low quantum energy output. That's for people that are very, very sensitive, that just need a tiny little bit of quantum energy. It's been sold out for a while, actually, and most people actually are more drawn towards like power capsules also. Mm-hmm. But then the frequency cards, those are the very interesting parts, because so 9010 has the single frequencies on these cards, or frequency compilations, and then you can either also put them in your pocket, put them underneath your pillow, where you have the energy. You can hold it here. You just put it in your pocket, or you put it in a cube. Mm-hmm. So if I put this now in a cube here, and I would put, let's say an empty power capsule or aluminum foil together with it in here, then already after 15 to 20 minutes, the frequency of this here is copied into this other object. And that's how you could really play around with this. And it gets really exciting. So yeah, a lot of cube owners, they want to have these individual frequencies so they can make their own products for themselves and play around. So
the cards come just neutral, and then you can imprint them how you want?
Well, I mean, yeah, you can buy totally empty aluminum cards. Yeah. 9010 can facilitate that, but is not necessarily interested in selling empty cards. We always say, you can buy them with 9010, but you can also go to Amazon and find empty aluminum cards there. That maybe that's really not the business that 9010 is in.
For sure. And then how about the aluminum when you are, let's say, like you're taking a certain plant, or you're taking a certain oil, or, you've discussed moringa, so what you can do is take foil and then kind of wrap up the spheres and then place it on the actual energetic of, let's say, the moringa leaf. And then are you putting that in the cube, or are you allowing the capsule to do that? How are you transferring the energy of that?
Well, to copy a frequency, there is a way to do it with a capsule as well, but the very convenient and easiest way to do it is using the cube. And what you do is the cheapest way to do it, if you want to burn it on another object, is you take aluminum foil. The aluminum frequency is neutralized in the cube, and it carries frequencies very, very well. It protects itself against EMF, by the way, aluminum does. So you put the aluminum foil in your cube, and then whatever you want to burn in terms of frequency, you put on top of it or next to it. It doesn't matter, it just needs to be in the cube. Let's say a piece of frankincense, and then after 15 minutes, you have the frankincense frequency in the aluminum foil.
Yep.
You could use an aluminum card, you can use anything pretty much, but aluminum foil is again the cheapest way to go. And then you can even play around with this. Then you could unscrew this again here, take one of the titanium spheres out of it, take a piece of this aluminum foil with the frankincense frequency, wrap it around one of those spheres, put it back in the capsule, screw it together again, and then the frankincense frequency will also be transmitted out to you. So that's how you can play around with it. And you can use affirmations too. It works extremely well with affirmations. And so with affirmations, what you would do is certainly you write on a piece of paper, "I'm happy," as an example, or whatever, and ideally give your real intention in that as well, not just write it down in an abstract way, but really give intention, feeling into it. Put that in the cube together with aluminum foil, 15 minutes, and then the frequency of this affirmation is in there. Then you could take, again, the aluminum foil, wrap it around one of those spheres, put it in, take the capsule, and then this affirmation frequency is in your system the whole time while you wear it, without you constantly having to say it. So that's a pretty smart way to do it. So it does its job on its own.
So is there any way that you can do the burning with just the capsule and no cube?
Burning just the capsule?
With the capsule.
Oh, yeah, but that's a little bit too difficult to explain. There's a video that 9010 has produced. It can be watched on the 9010 site on how to do that. Yeah, but there's a possibility to do it for sure.
Cool. Awesome. So we've talked about the cube, the card, talked about the capsules, the water bottle. So those are kind of the 4 keystone products that are just being so well received from the community. And maybe you can share just a couple testimonials. I know you guys have tested blood, you guys have, had feedback from people with different ailments. Can you just give us maybe 2 different testimonials that have blown you away?
Yeah, so what I think is still the very exciting part is also what 9010 actually filmed and recorded as it was happening when they gave, so they went to practitioners that had a dark field microscope, and they looked at the blood of their patients, and it typically looked pretty clogged. You have these blood cells and they stick together and didn't look very healthy. Then they gave them a 9010 card or a 9010 power capsule or a charged phone, for that matter, a smartphone that was burned in a cube for 3 hours. And in each case, after already 10 minutes holding this device or the capsule, they did this blood test again, and the blood completely changed to the positive, significantly, not just a little bit, absolutely significantly. And then bioresonance machines were also used, where they went to practitioners that had no clue what 9010 is. They didn't even know what the 9010 card is or something. They really had no clue. And they were just asked to then give it to the patients, and then they were measuring the organ functions, and each and every time there was just a tremendous increase in organ function and bettering. And they were like, "Oh my God, this is really crazy. What is this? This is making it so much better." So it's really, really interesting. And then, we have countless testimonials. We can't even keep up with writing testimonials down where people just report amazing results. One of the people in the community, you mentioned Kay Elmer, but there's someone else that has experimented a lot with plants. We just talked a lot about humans and but with plants, and he had tremendous success with plant growth and making them get better and more healthy. And one of the things that he actually did is that he took, I think, a certain organic plant food, which is relatively famous, and burned the frequency into a capsule of this plant food, and then took the capsule with his spheres and put it in the pot. And the plants reacted in an absolutely tremendous way.
It's amazing.
And yeah, so it's pretty amazing. And you cannot manipulate plants.
Oh, no. You can talk to them. I talk to my plants. You want me to show you my plants? See my plants?
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them.
Yep.
I'd be doing that for sure.
So that's a great thing. And then, with the healing, with a new heal frequency, we've gotten some tremendous and instant testimonials as well. So, someone that had this late stage cancer and due to the medication has huge digestive issues and literally no appetite. And within 2 days of wearing this capsule with the heal frequency, those problems went away. And that was absolutely profound and such a relief for him and his family.
Can you wear the capsule at night, or do you say don't wear the capsule at night because it'll keep you awake if it's too much?
I personally can. Okay. And so for some people it actually helps with better sleep and dreams, but then with other people they don't sleep enough, then they wake up too early, or even some others may even get stressed because it's too much energy. So it really depends on each individual, and that's also a message, right? Not everybody is the same, and so you need to feel for yourself. But what you can always do, that's why the 90-10 products are so flexible. You can take out of these 5 spheres, you can just remove maybe 4 of those, have 1 sphere left, and then put it underneath your pillow and experiment what that does, because then you have the frequencies there, but in a very soft way and very low quantum energy. And so you can really experiment with it, but there's no general rule about this. We've heard of people that had actually to put the capsules in a different room for the night so that they could sleep. And then during the day, they would wear it all the time, so they're very energetic, get things done, are very focused. So it's
very personalized. Yep, everybody's very, very complex, so you got to play around with it. That's amazing. So
I want to show you something real quick. Because we mentioned that.
That looks like a turbocharged cube.
Yeah, so
that's
this
like
is
double layers, man.
That was the latest invention of the 90-10 founder. That's the so-called Forever Freedom Pack. And when he developed that, that's what he told me. When he developed that, he was like, now there's nothing for me to explore anymore, nothing more for me to invent anymore. This is the end. Now I can just talk about it. There's nothing more to do, because the system he developed is, once you have an original cube, you can buy this Forever Freedom Pack, which consists of 2 cubes that have cross plates, the big cross plates you saw there. And then you can activate it with your original cube. And then once you do that, there's a mechanism on how you can upgrade these 2 cubes to a higher level each time you do that. It's very easy to do, actually. It's super easy. And then you can basically get yourself unlimited quantum energy. So as much as you need, as much as you want. And the limit is really truly yourself, because you couldn't just upgrade and upgrade, because it would overwhelm your body and your cells probably, and maybe too many things would come up. But you're, in that sense, for the next hundreds of years, independent as far as that goes, and still your grandchildren can upgrade without the need to go to 90-10 and ask for an upgrade or pay for something. It's like you're really self-sufficient. Wow. So that is a great concept. Now I really like that Oliver had invented this and makes that available as well. Because, the old world business concept or business model would have been to keep these things just for the company and just produce products so that people would always be dependent on the company forever.
Mm-hmm.
And even with upgrading the cube, you could ask the people to, if they want to upgrade, they need to pay for it each and every time for the next hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But he just turns it around, because that's not what the new world should be like.
Yeah, I think we're all learning, especially now in the last month, is we're here to create community and value, and to give as much value as we possibly can. And those that want to seek and discover and take that in, that's your free will. But that is for sale right now, the Freedom Power Pack.
Yeah. I mean, that's been available for a while, but so you will find that the cube and the Forever Freedom Pack are not sold online, because it comes with a certain responsibility. And the founder said, we're not selling cubes to everybody, so there's always a little check in terms of that. That's relatively quick, but he always wanted to know, like, who are these people that get a cube, and then also wants to explain more about the cube. But and the Forever Freedom Pack. But everybody that has a cube can get a Forever Freedom Pack as well.
How much is that US dollar?
The cube is $2,798 here in North America, and the Forever Freedom Pack is the same price, even though it comes with 2 cubes.
Okay. And the capsules, so the cards are not available right now. The capsules are. So you can buy 1 capsule for $165. And then you also have a family pack, which you can get 4, and you save a little bit of money. I think that's a great start for anybody who wants to try these. Is those capsules are an awesome start. Start on those, give them to your friends and your family, especially right now. I was listening to something, and I think they said that the frequency of like the flu or a cold is around like 25 to 30 megahertz, and cancer is around 40 megahertz. It's irrelevant whatever numbers that these are at, but when we enter these kind of this quantum field into our field, if we're eradicating 5G, we know how strong that is. We can allow the body to dissolve these stressors, all of these invisible stressors, especially now the corona, which, we're having this blow up because it's such an invisible thing that's creeping up on us. It's nature doing its thing, but we can also then take nature back and we can use it to our advantage. And to me, this is what I believe 9010 has done, and what you and partnering with Oliver have done, and created such a great opportunity for the world, really. And like I said, I think we're all waking up, and, I may be a nerd over here, and all my friends and stylists are like, Cass, oh my God, another thing. I'm like, but hang on, let me tell you, because it's truth. And I recognize it as truth as you see it as truth. And as we continue to understand and wake up to the powers that be, and you can put whatever bias and political thing that you want to based on what's going on right now, people are starting to deconstruct how really I feel like I'm a Tommy Tom, meaning you're telling me where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, when I can order food, where I can order food. My business has been shut down for 2 months. Who knows if I'll be able to reopen? This is how real people feel and how raw we can feel. But if we can utilize items like this, where we can both get our headspace in the right place, and then use these different support agents to really help us stay in that place. That's what's important, because that, like you said, is not real. That's not reality. Who we are and the essence of the heal frequency of who we are, the origin of ourself is so pure and so clean that we can overcome this and we can override this. But when we succumb to the negativity, when we succumb to the power lords that be, that's when we lose the fight. So to me, this is a part of the fight, and what it represents is who we are in essence. So I just want to thank you. And, we talked about C60, and we definitely are going to have another episode on that. You and I are in conversation about me including C60 into my product suite because I feel so powerfully about it. And we're just seeing so many studies now, even with C60, and how it's helped with the virus that we're dealing with right now. So, hopefully we'll have you on. I'm down for 4 weeks. So you've got a busy schedule. We can talk about C60 and its ability of how to neutralize the stressors in our body internally, an actual physical product. And is there anything else pertaining to 90-10 today that you would want to add into the conversation for our listeners before we depart today?
Well, I mean, in general, I would want to say, and that's aside from 90-10, guys, girls, stay calm and stay balanced and just focus within yourself, and whatever outside stressors there are, they may be really rough, and they are probably rough, they're for everybody. It's just, breathe and just feel yourself, be in your body, and just, and find your trust within. I think that's the most important thing to do. Don't get yourself dragged into fear. That is the worst thing you can do. It's kind of like, look at it as a test. And if you notice you get into fear, you're about to not pass the test. So try to then get out of that fear. And in terms of 90-10, I think, again, really thankful to the community, for the community. And I would encourage everybody that is interested in 90-10 also to join the community. We have a great Telegram group. Maybe you can share the Telegram link to on your
I'll
video
leave it on the show
description.
notes. Absolutely. It's a fun group.
And yeah, share there, ask questions, and think about what you want to experiment with, and that it's a great community. And I think that's one of the most amazing parts about it.
Yeah. So a last question I always ask all my guests, doesn't have to be quantum related at all. What is something that you personally have awakened to as of recent in your own life? Whatever comes to mind, first thing.
I mean, as of recent, I can't really tell, but for me, it's really the fact of, that this is our reality here, and the reality that we're getting displayed is really not our reality. And I think that is just one of the most amazing parts of awakening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Philip, thank you so much for sharing all of this goodness, good healing, loving frequency, just the conversation here today. And, it's just, I can feel my vibes rising, and it's so good for people to connect. And I also want to say, we can always say, don't give in to the fear, or you shouldn't give in to the fear. It's a lot harder said than done, because our mind is in a perpetual feedback loop. So for any of you out there, please ask for professional help if you're having any problems in this time of just trying to get out of your own constructs of your brain. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. You can reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you a nice theta session where you can just relax your body, because just like the frequency reminds the body how it is in homeostasis, we also can train our brain how to get back to a place of homeostasis. And so it really is a group effort in yourself, mind, body, and soul, to be able to be in this place of oneness with who you truly are. So, Philip, thank you so much. And all of you listeners, until next time, stay sane, get sleep, and bring your sexy back.
Thank you very much for your time and having me.
Thanks, Philip.